There are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Most people could tell you that this quote is from Bob Ross. Bob Ross is typically known for his paintings. You may also know him from The Joy of Painting on PBS, Hulu, and Netflix, or you may just know him from the memes that are shared from desktop to desktop and phone to phone. In Bob Ross's earlier life, he loved to nurse injured animals back to health, and he dropped out of high school in just the 9th grade to actually join his father in the carpentry business. And it was there that he had severed the tip of his left index finger, and it was actually hidden very well in The Joy of Painting because it was often hidden under his art palette. He enlisted in the Air Force at just age 18, and it was there during his 20-year stint of military service that he actually found what would be his true joy in life, art. And in some of his earlier art classes that he took, he noted that a lot of his instructors wanted more abstract paintings. But as we know, Bob Ross liked to paint more scenic. And it was this artwork that eventually led to The Joy of Painting on PBS. And from that artwork, also Bob Ross became the founder of Bob Ross Incorporated, which is where he made most of his income from the middle towards the end of his life. And he made that income by selling his books, art supplies, and also doing lessons. According to the New York Times, Ross used a wet-on-wet painting technique. And that's really what set him apart. And what it means is, typically an artist would paint over part of a canvas and then have to let it dry, and then paint over the next part and then let it dry. Whereas Bob Ross would actually just do wet paint on wet paint and then blend that together into a beautiful scene. And that's actually how he made his paintings so quickly, and for some of his episodes in his TV series in under 30 minutes. Just about everyone who knows Bob Ross knows about Bob Ross's hair. And what most people don't know is that Bob Ross originally had a crew cut, but he was actually struggling with money earlier in his career, and he decided to get a perm and go with the afro so as to save money so he could grow it out longer and not have to get it trimmed as often. What most people also don't know is that Bob Ross wasn't particularly fond of his afro, but he decided not to trim it so as not to change his image because his permed afro had actually become part of the logo in Bob Ross Incorporated. Bob Ross was a very private person, and he rarely did interviews, but when he did, he typically liked to talk about nursing animals such as squirrels, and then he also liked to talk about his wet-on-wet painting technique. Bob Ross died July 4th, 1995, from complications of lymphoma, which his family had said he had been battling for several years, but he had not told the public. And during his lifetime, Bob Ross had had 3 children, and he had been married 3 times. The third marriage happened just 2 months before his death. And in conclusion, Bob Ross is important in history because he had a wonderful painting method, he had a fantastic attitude and outlook on life, and he spread joy through art and compassion.